Hello everybody! I have recently come across a library with powerful Angular components. Do you know Taiga UI? It offers a powerful set of open source components. Yeah, open source components. So in this video, we will see how to install Taiga UI and how to use it in a simple Angular form. Every step we will follow will be based on the library's documentation. Since this is an introductory video, we will use the documentation a lot. We will visit it many times. So, let's get started. At first, the form that we're going to work with is a simple form group with email, first name, last name, password, and this will be our checkbox, agree to terms and conditions. Apart from this, let's go to the app component HTML and see how the template looks like. We can say that this is a simple template. The only thing that we have is a form with a form group directive here with a binding form, and then we have several input form fields. The form control name email, first name, last name, the password here, and the checkbox for agree to terms and conditions. So this is what we have for our form, and of course we have the button. The idea is to make this form look better. And let's see how this form looks like in the browser. So this is it. We can say that it's not that pretty, right? We have everything in place, but it doesn't look nice. And of course we will improve this. How? We will use Taiga UI library. As said previously, in this video we'll make ourselves comfortable using this Taiga UI library documentation, and for this purpose we will use it a lot. So let's start up from the home page. This is taiga-ui.dev, and below we can see the browse components. So let's click this button. We'll start with installing the libraries. So let's click this, and we can see that we have to install several libraries here, the CDK, core, kit, icons. One thing that I really like with this library is that they have a very strict separation of concerns, and that's why we have many different packages, and of course many packages for add-ons. We won't work with add-ons, we will work with the very basics, CDK, core, kit, and icons. So let's do the installation. I will copy this line and I will go directly into the VS Code, and I will be like, install this, core, kit, and the icons. Nice. So let's go now to the second step, which is add theme and Taiga UI global styles to your Angular JSON file. So this is what we need to have. So I will just copy these lines and I will go to the VS Code, Angular JSON, and we have to paste these lines into the build architect and specifically into styles. So let's move on. Currently I don't care about the mixin, so I will skip this part. This is important. So many components of Taiga UI require to be wrapped into a specific component selector. This is the root component selector, and in order to use it we have to import the module first. So let's do this. I will copy this line, the fourth line. I will go into the module and of course import it in the Angular. Nice. So let's move on. And here we can see the component selector. I will simply copy this and paste it into the template. Just paste it here, and this is actually based on Taiga UI. This is a requirement of some components. So let's move on then, and the fourth step is for optional modules for dialogues and notifications. In this video we won't use dialogues nor notifications, so we'll skip this step. But we need the fifth step, which is for the icons. So what we have to do in order to include the icons into our application is to copy this JavaScript object, and let's go to the Angular JSON, into the assets, add a comma here, and just paste it here. Nice. And we require more Angular configuration to make this happen. We need to register a specific provider, and we have to use this token, the TUI icons path, and we have to provide this path using the icons path factory. Again, let's go into the app module, into the providers, and paste it here. Import the token, import the factory, and this is actually all the steps that we had to follow in order to install Taiga UI. So let's go to the browser to see if everything are okay. Everything seems to work fine. So let's now step by step improve the look and feel of this form. Let's go to the VS Code, into the app component HTML, and let's try to improve the first input field, the email. As said in the beginning, in this video we will use the documentation a lot. So we will go from VS Code to the documentation, and from documentation back to VS Code. So let's use again the documentation, and what we need to search is for an input. And I will use this search field here, and I will type just input. So let's follow this. One cool thing about Taiga UI is that every HTML input has different component, and we can see here many different components for text area, for input date, a date range, number, password, and so on and so forth. In our case, now we want to work with the simple input. So let's try to read this documentation. What do we have? We have three different tabs: description and examples, the API, and setup. We will work with the first and the last tab. First, let's go to the setup, and this is what we can see. That in order to use the input component, you have first to import the input module. So let's copy this. Let's go to the VS Code, into the app module, paste it here, and into the imports. The second step is to go again to the description and examples. Let's scroll down a bit, and we can see that we have a basic and some other variations here. We will start with the basic. What we are looking for now is how to use this component, the input component. So I will go directly into the HTML tab. And I can see that we have a TUI input with a class and a form control name and something inside here. So this one actually is the placeholder. So I will copy this, and I will go to app component HTML, and I will replace this. I don't care currently for this class, but I do care for the form control name. Let's go to the browser and see what we have. Nice. So we can see that we have the first Taiga UI input field. And if I click in the type in mail, we can see this very smooth animation, fade in and fade out. Very good one. So why do we have this red border? Because the email, it's a required field and also requires to be an email pattern. So let's repeat this step for the other fields. I will copy this, I will comment this out, paste, and just use the first name here in the form control name, and also the first name here. Again, let's copy this, comment this out, and what we need to have is the last name, form control, and the last name placeholder. Nice. Again, let's go to the browser. Awesome. So type an email, first name, and last name. So now we need to improve the password field. And if you remember, what we said previously is that in Taiga UI we have different components for different input fields. So for the password, we need a different component. So let's go to the documentation. And I will use the search. I will type password here, and we can see the input password. Similarly, we will go into the setup tab. This is what we need to have. App module, paste it here and use it here. Again, let's go back to the documentation. Into the examples tab, let's use the HTML tab. And this is what we need to have, the TUI input password. So I will copy this as is, and I will go into the HTML. I will comment this out, and I will paste it here. And of course, we have to replace the form control name. Currently, I don't care about this. And I think that, yeah, we're okay. Let's go to the browser. Nice. So this is how the type password looks like. And we also have this nice tooltip. And if I type a password, my secret password, and click this button, I can see the password, and if I click it back, I hide the password. Nice. So let's do the exact same thing now for the checkbox. And you know how it goes. We have to go to the documentation, search for checkbox, and we can see several results. Checkbox, checkbox block, checkbox labeled. This seems nice, so let's check this out. And this is how it looks like. And in our case, it fits perfectly. And this is what we're going to use. Again, let's go into the setup, and we have to copy these. Let's go into the app module, use it here, and let's go back to the documentation, into the examples tab, go into the HTML so that we can see an example. And this is what we need to have. A TUI checkbox labeled. Nice. So let's copy this. Let's go to the HTML. And you know what? I will comment this out. We have to use this here, and also we have to get this as well, which is the I agree to terms and conditions, and terms and conditions is under a link. Let's see how it looks like. Nice. And it also has a very smooth animation, fade in and fade out. One thing that I don't like is how the links look like. And again, for this one, Taiga has a specific module for this. So again, back to documentation, search for link. This is what we have to use. Directly, let's go to the setup, import this module, and let's go back to the examples, and let's see how to use this. The only thing that we have to do is to use this TUI link directive. So I will copy this, and I will go directly into the HTML to use it in the A tag. Nice, already looks much better. And the last thing that we have to use is the submit button. And again, I think that you have learned how the drill goes. We have to go to the documentation, search for a specific thing, import the module, go to the examples, and just use it. Let's see the example. And this is what we need to have, TUI button. And I will paste it here. Let's see what we have. Nice, nice, nice. So let's see if we fill in this form. I will type here an email, and this actually is a wrong email. This is my first name, my last name, and this is my secret password. I agree to terms and conditions, and I can see that the button is still disabled, and the reason is that I have a wrong email. So let's make it correct. Nice. Don't you feel that something is missing here? Yeah, what it's missing is that we don't provide a message to the user, an error message to the user whenever we have something wrong. For example, this one. So we have an error and we have to provide the message to the user. Again, let's go to the documentation and search for error. And we can see that we have error and field error. The field error is used by Taiga UI for HTML for messages. Let's go to the setup. We need this module. And let's go to the examples. And this is how we have to use it. TUI field error, and we have to provide just the form control name. So I will copy this line and I will go into the app component HTML, and you know what? I'm going to paste it several times, one for the email, for the first name, and for the rest fields. Now let's go to the browser to see what we have. If I type something and click out, we can see that we have here values invalid automatically, or better said, automatically. And the same goes for first name, for last name, for the password, and also for the checkbox. And this is how we can use Taiga UI. If you want to provide a better message, instead of the default one, which is the value is invalid, we can go to the documentation, into the examples, you have to go to the TypeScript, and you have to provide the custom validator, and from the custom validator you have to provide a different validation error. So this is how the form looks like, and compared to the first one, which was the default HTML form, this looks awesome. This is much better. And during this video we saw how to install the Taiga UI library and also how to use the Taiga UI library using the documentation. If you want to see more videos with several examples of Taiga UI, please write it below in the comment section. So thanks for watching.